Call to order the special meeting of the Westlake City Schools Board of Education for Monday, July 14th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Kraft.
Here.
You're not.
Here.
Fanukin.
Here.
Lamb.
Present.
Lazinski.
Present.
Would you stand and with me say the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We always remember our vision and our mission. Our mission is empowering all students to achieve their educational goals, to direct their lives, and to contribute to society. And our vision, the Westlake City School District will provide a dynamic, student-centered learning environment. Our district will be characterized by high achievement, actively engaged learners, mutual respect, shared knowledge, pursuit of new skills and capabilities, collaborative learning, willingness to take action, a team commitment to data-driven continuous improvement through a strategic planning process, and tangible results. It is wonderful to see you all tonight. Thank you for joining us right here and also online. I move to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Kraft.
Yes.
Lazinski.
Yes.
Fanukin.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
You're not.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And at this time, we do have a hearing of the public. The public may address the board during the periods of the meeting designated for public participation. We, the Board of Education, do not engage in a public debate and especially do not have a public discussion about an individual student or situations regarding them in this setting. Each person addressing the board shall give their name and address. If several people wish to speak, each person is allotted 3 minutes until the total time allotted is used. During that period, no person may speak twice until all who desire to speak have had the opportunity to do so. The period of public participation may be extended by a vote of the majority of the board present and voting. Is there anyone who would like to address the board this evening? Please address the podium. And thank you. Absolutely. If you can state your name and address.
Hello, my name's Amber McCloney. I live at 3182 Marion Court in Westlake. I have 2 children in the Westlake City Schools. My son William is a rising junior, and my daughter Eve is a rising 8th grader at LBMS. And I wanted to speak in support of the resolution tonight to rehire our retired band director, Hillary Patriarch. I am speaking as a parent of 2 very active kids in the performing arts. Both of my children are in band as well as choir. My daughter's also been in orchestra and they've participated in Westlake productions as well. So we are a very performing arts centered family, and in that aspect, I am also the incoming president of the Westlake Schools Music Boosters. Now that our outgoing president has their senior has graduated. And I am very excited to step into this role. And a big reason that I've been willing and excited to take on this role is the opportunity to work with Mrs. Hillary Patriarch. Been working with her extensively now for especially the last couple of years since my son joined high school. He's been a section leader for the mellophones and he plays French horn in the symphonic band. And I've had the privilege to work with Hillary, and I can say that she is a very valuable asset to this district. We are so much better off with her as our band director. She comes with over 30 years of experience, obviously. And I can say, having chaired the OMEA district band competition for the last 2 years, and I've met a lot of band directors, worked with a lot of them, and ours is second to none. Our music program is also second to none in this area. There's no one on our level or really close to it. And especially now with our program growing as rapidly as it is, we are in a great position to have our leadership stay with us and continue us through this growth period, as we are expecting almost 50 new band members in the upcoming year, to the point where we will be most likely adding another concert performing band because we've outgrown just to a symphonic and concert band. We're now gonna have concert A and concert B. So you know, I thank you for your time and gratefully hope that you will support the rehire of Mrs. Hillary Patriarch for our students. It's what's best for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Bobby Jean Palumbo. I live at 1500 Prince Charles Avenue, just right up the street in Westlake. So I'm the Music Boosters president for the next 17 days. But who's my daughter Bernadette graduated this year, so I mean, maybe my opinion's a little less important, but I just want to echo everything Amber said. I have been the Music Boosters president for 3 years, working with Hillary. I'm like obsessed with her. She's so amazing. She honestly has her schedules like years out. It's so fantastic. She's really the most organized teacher I've ever met in my entire life, and well, I won't get into why I think that is, but anyway, I would like to say my daughter has been in the music program also for, you know, basically since 5th grade, if you count, you know, when she started playing instruments, and also was in choir. I just couldn't, like I said, Amber said the same thing. We're so fortunate in the city of Westlake to have the music directors that we do. And specifically in the instrumental music program, I know that they all work so close from 5th grade up to 12th grade with Hillary, kind of working as a family, working as a team. And our kids are just are such in such good hands with them. So much so, like Amber kind of touched on it, I just want to put a finer point on it, maybe that the amount of kids in Westlake High School has been on decline, and the amount of kids participating in the instrumental music program in Westlake has been increasing every single year. And I think that's just because of the amazing work that all 3 of our music directors are doing, 5th up and up. But again, I think Hillary's just done a great job kind of stewarding that whole team, and I'm in great support of us rehiring her. So that's it for me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you both for all that you do for the district. Thank you for your comments tonight. There are many, many, many that feel as you do, and we appreciate you taking the time to share that with us tonight. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board at this time? Dr. Goggin, we're going to move on to superintendent's recommendations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do have one recommendation, which just for those of you who may be watching or will watch this on YouTube, one of our work sessions becomes a special meeting when we put something on the agenda that the board is going to vote. So typically in July, this would be a work session. We do have a presentation talking about our strategic plan. But we also have tonight for this resolution in regard to Hillary, which is why we went from a work session to a special meeting. So just point of orders for people out there who may be watching and wondering why we went from work session to special. My one item that I have is 3A, which is a resolution to rehire and reemploy retired band director Hillary Patriarch. I echo what our speakers have said, and I just give a couple points, and not that anybody needs convincing. Okay, I know that the board is very grateful and very proud of the work you've done, and this is even without pictures of you and Barry Manilow. That's just a whole other that we have there, but
Thought we were getting married.
I think it's fun tonight, but the other, so just to kind of say a couple things. One is when I came to Westlake 10 years ago, and I was talking to Paul Wilson, trying to get an idea of the staff, you know, and I asked Paul about his staff at the high school. Actually, this was during the first year. And he had gone from the middle school to the high school like in February. And I said, oh, you're back at the high school and this sort of thing. And talking to him about staff, and his comment was, he goes, let me tell you this. If there was a teacher draft and I had the #1 pick, my #1 pick would be Hillary Patriarch. Unsolicited, just out of it. He's like, if there was a draft, my #1 pick would be Hillary. And so that's one of the early memories that I have of that. And I mentioned Barry Manilow a moment ago, and we can, kind of joke about that a little bit. But I think it's a big test of her character where she was like, the award wasn't about her, it was her as a representative of our music department. And so I think that's kind of how she felt there, is that it wasn't just a recognition of her. We have Joe here tonight. We have all the other music teachers that we have throughout our district. And I think Hillary took it as like not only her own personal accomplishments, but what they mean as a whole. And that is such a big deal because when I look at our bands, and the marching band especially because it's visibly on display at times, they're not a band, they're truly a culture and a family where you actually, it's not the transactional relationship of I teach you how to play music, you play music. It's we do all of this together. And and that's something that doesn't just happen, right? And we know Joe in the future will slide into that role, but it's funny is when I went to talk to Hillary about it, I went into their band room and they were dressed alike that day. And I was it Diet Coke? I can't remember what it was. Yeah. So they were doing yeah. So, and I know that there's a someday there, but I don't think I think we want to enjoy this moment and to be able to carry this on. But we are very happy for you that you had the opportunity to go into retirement. And as long as we can keep you afterwards, that would be great. And it really creates, I called it a win-win, but her husband will say it's a win-win-win. It's a win for him as well. But we're really excited. And it is with great pleasure that I put this recommendation on the agenda for the evening. I do thank the board for considering it and also switching this to a special meeting. And that's one of the things they did, Hillary, is this did go from a work session to a special meeting so that we can do this because of the value you bring to our kids in our community. So thank you. If you have any questions or comments, I'm happy
I
to.
do, of course I have to make a comment. First of all, I was teaching in North Olmsted Middle School when Hillary came and did her student teaching. I don't even remember the year that was. Was it in the 90s?
I came there, it was actually my second job in 95.
Okay, so we go, and I loved her then just as much as I love her now. And I have to say, I remember when Joe was her student teacher, and Joe does an excellent job if you go to any of the concerts. And I just think that he was very lucky to have Hillary as, your teacher then, and it shows and just everything you do too, and it's a testament to her ability. So I'm thrilled that you retired, but then decided to come back. Because I'm retiring in December and I don't think they're gonna rehire me. Say it.
So one other thing is, and what I learned right before this meeting is Amanda Musselman, our associate superintendent, was an Eagleette with the North Olmsted band
Yes.
when
When she
Hillary
was there.
as well.
Yes.
So
Cool. And Amanda was one of my students back when she was in sixth grade. So there's a lot of connections.
But I think about it, a couple of Scott's words were proud and grateful. And I am certainly proud and grateful. And I think about your innovation, your ideas, tirelessness, again, the time that you give and how much the local community and the broader community just love all the work that you do. And again, that makes us very proud. We love to see what you've accomplished and you continue to accomplish. Think about what you've done for music in the past think about what you've done in music present, think about where you're, I think, coming back, what you're doing for music for the future. So very thankful. I congratulate you as well. That's great, but glad that we're gonna have you for a little bit longer. Mhm. Any other,
I do have one more thing.
of course,
Just bear with me. I remember when your first year here, the comments that I was hearing were from I don't know if it was the Demonettes or the Debonaires, it could have been both groups. But you apparently gave them the choice of their outfits. And they had never had that choice before, and they were like ecstatic that you allowed them to choose what they were going to wear. So you're off to a good start.
any other thoughts from the board? Is there a motion is there a motion for the superintendent's recommendation 3A, the resolution to rehire and reemploy retired band director Hillary Patriarch?
So moved.
Second,
Discussion?
well, I would like to say that personally, two of my children, it was probably one of their more favorite times when they did band. I know Jack really enjoyed when he was in jazz band. Always a nice fun thing. And Mr. Finale as well. And Molly, started in green sleeves years ago and then continued on. So yeah, you make positive impacts on people, and I can personally attest to it. And I'm sure obviously other people who go through the same thing can say the same. So
Just on a side note, Will was one of the first kids I was able to have a pizza party with when I think it was here at Hilliard. It was here at Hilliard. And now he's a junior, and that's why when she's talking about Will and I, just on a side note, my daughter was involved in musicals, but then we brought her back and she came and watched a show, and I can't remember which one it was, but Will was performing. And she leaned over and she's like, "He is really good." So, and but it's great. So it's nice to see Will grow too.
You will appreciate it. He's our
Further comments? Roll call?
I was gonna say hand.
I was gonna say something.
Oh,
These children are so speedy now.
still, right?
Goodness. No, just thank you very much for everything that you continue to do for our school district. And I get the chills every time I hear the band perform on Friday nights at the football games and the parades and everything. So thank you very much.
Thrilled you're coming back. And the big comment that always puts a warm place in my heart is the inclusivity that you create in all of the programs. So many parents are really appreciative of it.
Further comment? Roll call?
Lamb,
Yes.
Fanukin,
yes.
Kraft.
Yes.
Lizinski,
Yes.
here not,
Yes.
motion carries.
So at this point, we are going to switch to our strategic plan update. Please, if you want to stay, you're more than welcome to stay. But if you do have other things to do this evening, please do not feel obligated to stay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good, I guess.
Thank you very much.
Yep, you got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Hillary, how uncomfortable was that hearing all these nice things about you?
That's right.
All right, we are going to move on to presentations. Dr. Geigen, do you have any preliminary comments you'd like?
Absolutely, we are very, very excited. The last time we completed our strategic plan was we started it the beginning of the 1920 school year, so 2019, 2020. And so right in the middle of our strategic planning, COVID hit and schools were shut down. There was pros and cons to that. We felt like we were in a position where we had a lot of adjustments happening, and maybe we could build some of those into the strategic plan, which we did. We accelerated some things. Dr. Pete Gray is here. And during that strategic planning, we went from discussing a one-to-one initiative with technology to implementing it as soon as possible. So we had, went through that at that time. It was nice this year going through this because we were able to take our time. Doreen was able to meet with multiple stakeholder groups, student stakeholder groups, parent stakeholder groups, community, board members, administration, teachers, classified staff. So there was just a lot of engagement that she did. And in going through, and as we as different teams, administrative teams, went through the overall themes and were able to go through and really refine the goals, we're excited to have Doreen share some of the results with you tonight. So we have Doreen Osmond here, who is a former assistant superintendent of the Hudson Schools and currently working with the Impact Group. Her experience has really been beneficial for us to be able to translate and turn that feedback into actionable items. So really, Doreen, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Goggin. Thank you, board members and Mr. Hopkins for allowing me to come tonight and to talk to you about the strategic plan and really the part of the strategic plan, an important part that Dr. Goggin already talked about was really the strategic plan, the community engagement, because this has to be Westlake strategic plan. It is not Impact Group's strategic plan. It is not Doreen Osmond's strategic plan. It is your strategic plan that represents the goals and the objectives and the priorities of your community. So we started the process, I think it was like December. We started having discussions and mapping things out and getting into focus groups and things like that. And you started your Board of Education meeting today really reaffirming and making sure that your work is centered on your vision and mission. The vision and mission is not changing. It is still alive. It is still, it is a dynamic process. It is not just words. In a few of the sessions, Dr. Goggin reminded especially the leadership team and his cabinet, his central office team, this is still where we are. This is where we're going. And it is extremely appropriate still. So looking at the vision and mission. Again, it's the same, and it is, we educate for excellence. And then it goes on empowering all students. And then the vision statement, that's fine. The vision statement hasn't changed either. So it is still a core and that core through the strategic plan, community engagement, staff and student engagement and has not changed. And again, it was really the center of it. The other piece that we kept looking at was the portrait of the lifelong learner. Because that's still, and that comes, I have it at the end, but it serves as the bookends really for the strategic plan work. Next slide, please. So just a summary, we had a SWOT analysis and some vision discussions with the district leadership team several times. We had 7 focus groups. We had 2 student focus groups. One was at the middle school and one was at the high school. And that is, I really enjoyed meeting everybody in Westlake. But your students were my favorite. They were great. And the
Why do you
way,
say that?
what?
Why do you say that?
Why do I say that? Because they were very honest. I had a middle school student. She came with a PowerPoint, or not anymore PowerPoint, Google presentation. I'm damaging myself. A Google presentation, and she had worked the previous weeks to make sure that her friends in 8th grade, that it wasn't only her voice that she was sharing perspectives, but she wanted to make sure it wasn't only her voice. She was sharing her friends and even people that she wasn't that friendly with. But they were in her like grade level, and they were classmates. And then your high school kids, they were mostly seniors, and so their perspective was really interesting also because it was in February, I believe March is when I did the student focus groups, and theirs was very they were very reflective. About really not just high school. They were able to talk about just different milestones throughout their their school career. Not all of them were like the 13-year club or, you know, through from kindergarten through 12th grade. There were some that had come, you know, moved to Westlake and things like that. But the opportunities here that they talked about, the seniors especially talked about the new program about the senior experience and wanting more of those things. They also were very worried about school pride after they left because they felt that the senior class has the best school pride ever. So it's what you would expect of students, really. They were great.
One of the reasons I ask, Dr. Goggin and I are part of Rotary, and that's just one example. And there are those times when we have multiple pools of students come and
Yes.
present at Rotary. And people in Rotary say what you say. And I'm like, well, yeah, but maybe all kids are like this. But hearing it more and more often, that is a good thing to hear. And it says something about the district. So thank you.
And working with the two principals, DJ and the high school principal, I can't remember his name right. Yes. He you know, I wanted students with that represented your student body. So I wanted your gifted students, I wanted students with disabilities, 504 plans, music, people that kids were in the arts, kids that like the STEM activities, and then not the most popular kids. So it was really, and I just, first of all, being a 35-year veteran of public education, there's something about being with kids again.
Yeah.
There just is. There's something special about it.
Right on.
And that I still get to do that. So I am biased, by the way, with kids. I am. But it's, I mean, but I know it's okay. If I'm gonna be biased about something, I'm gonna elevate kids. And then we met with staff. I met with staff at all the different levels, and again, very retrospective. Our elementary teachers very concerned about students, especially post-COVID. These are the kids that were babies and, you know, toddlers at the first ages of COVID, those kindergartner and first graders and preschoolers too, and making sure that we are adjusting, they are adjusting their teaching styles and their learning environments to meet the needs of all their students. The high school teachers were amazing. It was a group of teachers, and there was a teacher leader there that works with other districts, and she said, Westlake is special. I hear things and concerns from other districts, and she said, I'll take our problems, which aren't many, any day. So, and I think that, and the teachers did go back to the leadership of Dr. Goggin and the team over and over again. So those were really good things. We had a community group we had community group focus groups. Amanda, how many? 12. And then, but it was like 3 hours. 2.5, 3. It was 2.5 hours, which was great. You have parents that wanted to make sure that I had the information from their experiences throughout the schools, and again, there's a weaving of school pride here, and making sure they want people to know how great Westlake is. So a lot of really great things, and then there were 400 plus parent and community responses to the survey, because then we did surveys, and 130 staff responses to the surveys. So a nice opportunity for multiple people, multiple layers and representatives to get involved in these discussions and the conversations. And from there, themes emerged. So student success and well-being was the theme. Communication and transparency. Communication, when we talked about, is a strength, but there's so many ways to receive communication right now. It's really diving into the parent square, which I knew was launched this year. So making sure that is there a way to have some user choice and things like that. Facilities and safety. Your facilities are beautiful. There was some discussion about the middle school and the vestibule, which I know is already being addressed.
Intermediate.
I'm sorry, the intermediate, the other side of it.
Yeah.
I'm looking like, oh, great, yeah. The intermediate school. And having those facilities addressed, kids felt safe. But the parents and the staff said, safety is never done. You're never going to check the box and say, I'm done. It is something that evolves. Unfortunately, it evolves after a situation. We learn every time. So not having a school strategic plan with some kind of safety embedded in there would be remiss. So you'll see that in there. Staff support and development, and there was discussion about staff morale, and just I think most of that is because of some of the climate, and everybody went to school, so they're an expert on school. I know. So anyways, and then also student expectations and student behaviors, really having, and I heard it from parents, I heard it from staff, it's in the survey results, making sure there's consistency. And there are some students that are going to be treated differently because of their learning and their needs. So students that have a disability or students that are on 504 plans, they have different pathways to learning, and they have different pathways also to discipline. So working on making sure that everybody is on the same page. There's already a lot of work with the multi-tiered systems of support. There's a lot with RTI. I know different districts call it different things, but to make sure to build up that consistency and the communication. Technology use and integration, definitely AI came out, and how do we, it's drinking from a fire hose. So really that was one of the themes, and then making sure that technology doesn't take over, is not in place of student engagement either. And being just aware of screen time, cell phone usage was also mentioned. Post-graduation pathways and real world readiness. That was the theme that came out. Like I said, that senior internship experiences. Some of the middle school students were talking about some of their classes where they have it's projects. It's not, they recognize they still need practice, but they want to do something with it. So looking at that, the project-based learning and real world experiences, extracurricular arts and athletics. The arts came through in everything, anything, and that was, again, you heard it tonight, not just music, but there's a pride for the arts and music, which is part of the performing arts, I know. And then parents and community engagement. There was a recognition, especially with the parent and community group, really how busy parents are, and are there different ways to get parents engaged in the schools. And so it's not just being the music booster president is a huge job, but is there something for that working parent or the working grandparent, or different ways? And sometimes I don't know if parents now, do they even know how to get involved? So giving them opportunities, whether it's cutting out, I don't know, something from a board, from some kind of manipulative or materials, but different ways to get people involved. And there are ways, but how do you get that word out too? So from all of that, I think you can change that. We have 5 goals in 5 different areas. And the first goal is advance academic excellence and prepare students for their futures. And but the key words here really are all students and achieving their full academic potential, and they're ready for success. And really that's as they choose after the path after graduation, but the goals or the objectives that support that are really about every step of their career here in their journey in Westlake schools. So each goal has objectives that supports those goals, and those are the objectives are really, how do you create those goals? How are you going to attain that goal? So you mind, Todd, do you mind? Oh, there you go. You can't see it, but it's up there, and I'm sure once everything is official, it's on your website now, so I'm sure it's going to be posted. But just highlights of the objectives, and that's really what I'm talking about, is expanding access to innovative programs, broadening and reviewing your course offerings, from your intermediate school, your middle school, and your high school, and not just, a lot of times schools think that electives are really a high school thing. They're not. And I know that becomes a challenge with that budget word. As a former assistant superintendent and curriculum director, I understood I had to work within a budget, which we do, I know, but think about the possibilities if you don't have to. So it's creating programs that you can actually deliver on that are based on student interest and really what they're gonna be experiencing in their life. Another objective is expand programs and pathways that prepare for not just college. A district like Westlake, just like Hudson, I would look at Westlake scores and think about, I felt that Westlake was our academic competition, and it is. But also we have to realize that sometimes college right away isn't for every student. So what are their choices? We want them to be productive. We want them to be happy. So there are other options. And I know that you have the your compact with North Shore, West Shore, with Lakewood and Rocky River and you guys and who else? Right. So exploring that, working together, continuing that work with those four. With the four districts, grading and assessment. I know this is something that has been worked on. But it's really to keep that placeholder and continue to refine it, and reflecting mastery. So some of the students, in the high schoolers brought up that no extra credit for bringing in Kleenex. And that's minimal now, but that's making sure communicating that everybody's on the same page. Establishing ethical guidelines for AI, not only for the teaching side, but also the learning side. How can our teachers use AI appropriately, ethically, and then really for efficiency too, and that's for operations. 1.5 is about structured support for support and enrichment, which is really just the differentiated instruction. So within the classroom, meeting the needs of all students. And then 1.6 is really increasing participation in extracurricular and co-curricular. There is a ton of research out there. When kids feel connected to school in one way or another, if they have that person, if they have that activity, their anxiety, stress, risky behaviors are reduced. So moving on to goal 2.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
I think about where we were, for example, with IB. I understand why we did what we did, and I think it was the right decision. And I thank our leadership for that. And I think about 2 now with portrait, and I believe in portrait. And I'm wondering how those 2 came up in conversation, if they did.
IB really didn't
Good.
come up in conversation.
And do people get portrait?
I didn't really ask the questions either, so it was mentioned here and there,
Gotcha.
but not as much as you would think. But
Okay.
IB, so IB is a program,
Yep.
but the tenets of teaching IB are still good no matter what. You don't have to. I mean, you know that there's some really good teaching tenets to IB. So hopefully people, because that's a lot. That was a big investment. Hopefully people are still.
Yeah,
I'm
more curious if it came up in conversation, didn't, and communication with regard to portrait. So thank you.
So goal 2 is so the first goal is about student achievements, then supporting student well-being. Ensure every student learns in a safe and supportive and inclusive environment that meets their emotional, social, and physical needs. A lot of discussion, a lot of praise for the district and the supports that have been put in place over the years. I mean, it has been intentional and significant. But the need for even like shoring that up more. So, and really the objectives that continue to support that goal. And 2.1 also ties into the first goal and the first objectives is consistently reinforcing developmentally appropriate behavior expectations. The second grader is going to be having different consequences than a 9th grader, as they should. So those are the kinds of things, and communicating those expectations too. Then promoting the availability. There's a lot of supports in the school. One of the things that some of the parents, and they don't know about those supports. And teachers sometimes don't even know about the supports because they're like, well, they could do this, they could do that. So it's making sure that there is that is it still appropriate, monitoring who's using that, and then building upon that. And then fostering a positive school culture where all students feel safe and included and valued. And then that's really that whole PBIS notion, positive behavior intervention supports, and then MTSS is another wonderful, multi-level, multi-tiered supports. And then keeping the building secure, maintaining school safety measures. The students and the parents and the staff really liked the SROs. I don't know if you can ever have enough SROs. I'm just, they love them.
Do you think that was the opinion of folks in the room?
Yeah, they really like seeing the SRO. They like the visibility of the SROs. They like the relationships that the SROs have. You know, but I think, well, I know staff, parents, students, they feel safe in your schools. And it's not just because of the SROs. It's because they see that the intentionality, unfortunately, we're in a day and age that we have to practice, you know, those safety measures.
Right.
So just like a fire drill, now we have to practice other things in schools.
Can I ask 2 points on? Overall, I really like the support student well-being, safety and belonging. The one thing I'm wondering is if there's a way we could also include the staff in this also.
Staff is coming.
I know that as I've read through the
Yeah.
bullets previously, but that was just one part that I really felt like we should maybe kind of fold in inclusion of that.
So can we look at that as we look at goal 4, 2, just because this is a student-centered goal? Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. So, okay. So goal 3 is attracting and developing attract, develop, and support high-quality staff. And that's recruiting and retaining and empowering excellent staff. You don't have a lot of staff turnover here. You don't. People, this is their, I consider it just being here as much as I have been, had the privilege to, it's a destination district. Like they're not, unless they're, you know, maybe if they're an administrator and they're moving on, I know like DJ did, and going back home, that it's a very specific reason. People are proud to be here. So making sure that recruiting and attracting, and then empowering the staff by providing strong leadership and meaningful professional development opportunities and a collaborative work environment. And then there's 4 objectives that go into that. Consistently reinforce developmentally appropriate behavior expectations and, sorry.
Yep.
Let me go back. Let me turn my page. I'm like, it's so good. Anyways, really competitive strategies to attract and keep top quality staff. It's that keeping of quality staff. Like why do they want to stay here? It's because of the culture. It's because of the teachers, the staff, not just the teachers, there's support for them. And they really would like, they know that there's some building level recognition programs and but potentially taking that to a district level recognition. Improves professional development by involving staff in the planning. I have seen your professional development plans. I've been here on a professional development day, and Mrs. Musselman and her team are incredible. It's expansive. It's like going to a mini state conference, actually. And it ties right into the state initiatives like those gotta do's. But really including the teachers. And one of the things it's in the last objective here, 3.5, they want more leadership opportunities. The teachers do. So guess what? That's a great way to include them, is planning the meaning professional development. And then enhancing workplace culture of trust, respect, and collaboration, where all staff feel supported, empowered, and valued. So I think that's what we're talking in 3. I'm sorry, it wasn't goal 4, it's 3.3. Enhance workplace culture of trust, respect. We can add
We have
and belonging.
3.4, promote wellness as well.
Yeah, and then we have the promoting wellness too. So if that's something that you would like us as a board to rework those goals and objectives, we can I mean, it's in draft stage right now.
There's a few
Yes.
things on this page. Number one, when we're looking at keeping top quality staff in all those, you know, we monitor that, and I think our lowest over the past 4 years has been 98.63. So we keep like 99% of our staff stay. So the vast majority, and when we talk about, when we do our research to see who's leaving, if somebody is retiring and they've concluded their career, we don't put them in that percentage of that they're leaving. It's when they're leaving Westlake to go to another district to continue their career. And what we have found is the vast majority of the time when that happens, the person has moved, relocated to a different part of the state or country. And primarily that's what we've seen a lot of, but the majority of the time we keep 98, 99% of our staff. The thing that is always, and no matter, even back when we did Youth Truth, the area where the staff has been most critical has been professional development every year. And, you know, we're trying to dig down on the why with that. And as we're digging, this was even a forum topic with, I don't know if it was last year or is it this year? Okay. Okay, so yeah, at the end of the last forum that we had last year to prepare for this past year. Because we're really trying to do that struggle that mentioned Amanda and her team has, is there's a lot more required training that has to happen, science reading, you know, literacy, RIMS, all these, what's that? New research, all these things that we have to do. And it leaves less and less time for what people want to do. And so it is very, very well planned. It's on point, but sometimes it's like, gosh, I'd really like to do, why don't you send 10 of us to Columbus, you know, to go to this workshop or something like that. And we've really switched to a model of having our PD happen here instead of traveling, getting hotel rooms and doing those kind of things. So we are trying to work on that. I like the idea. Because even when we did, what was interesting is we did that in forum at the end of, not last year, but the year before. And then when we did our PD day, we then came back to forum and said, how was it?
Yeah.
And the forum people were really, really positive. And then we sent out the minutes from forum and had some people say, I didn't think it was that great, you know, so it was like, so we're gonna continue to work on it. We know it's something, and it's finding that balance between what we have to do and what people want to do. So I also think the concept of putting teachers in a position to be in the room and planning it is then, and Forum has really done this for us, is it'll give some more people the perspective of what needs to be done. And then they'll go back and say, well, why didn't you tell them to do this, and it's like, wow, we got all these things we have to do and I don't know how we're gonna fit it. Because the other balance is if you put too much in a day, then the complaint is you tried to do everything in one day and it was going from thing to thing to thing. So it's very nuanced in many ways, but we accept, you know, we'll accept the feedback and continue to try and make it.
Part of his time and timing or no? You know, do you have the time to?
We have, so we built in the 3 days. So we
Understood,
have those.
but you
3
have so
days.
many other things, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then there's also, you know, and I've said this in forum, that, you know, we give an example,
Yeah.
co-teaching. We have across the board, we do co-teaching people. So they ask for somebody to come in and do a co-teaching, so that actual co-teachers can go together. So that was there as a 2-hour session last August. I had 8 staff members. And so it's that also, whereas we have the time, but then it's, I can walk, you know what I mean? It's like, how do I get them all there? You know?
Right, right.
And because we've had some wonderful PD that hasn't, right, we brought in, presenters last August. And maybe it wasn't taken advantage of because they did have some other training to do. But it's finding that balance, like Scott said, of here's what you have to do, but here's all the free time you do have this day when I do a choice board and ensuring that, you know, they're choosing what we feel they need and what they feel they need, you know, and without us actually creating their own schedule.
Yeah.
And so that's a concern as well, is when it is planned, how do we ensure that we get the teachers there, who the staff that should fit. And so we wanna make sure we're planning what they want, and we'll continue, like Scott said, to use the feedback, and then it's just.
I don't know, I think about sometimes that, you know, maybe a Teams approach or video approach where you're doing it, say in front of a screen, not as effective as in person. But then it's recorded and those that missed it, it's recorded, they can see it. But then the more important part of it is afterwards, all can collaborate on it. So I don't know if that's
So we
logical.
last August,
Yeah.
every session was in person. And then we didn't record the sessions, but we did have the presenters share their presentations with us. And when that was done, I relinked it to the choice board
Gotcha.
and then we sent it out to the district staff so that everyone at least had that.
Will the theater setting that we're creating here, not really theater, but meeting area, you know what I'm talking about, right?
In
In the gym.
In the gym.
Yeah.
The continuing education.
But is that do you think that's a help and can it be equipped to, I don't know, make that possible? Oh, it's just a thought.
So I think the thing is just continuing to listen,
Yeah.
because as now, luckily, we are getting farther away from, we've done science screen training, we've done literacy training,
Yeah.
and now that all needs to occur in TBTs during the day. So there is some less now required trainings going forward, that hopefully now we can really hone in on what every field needs. And really tailor it instead of maybe, district-wide choice board, maybe building-wide choice board, something like that, and really focus it, and then, but it's ensuring we get this right staff in order to plan that.
And I think the other one in here that we talk about is morale.
Yes.
And when it's interesting, and Doreen brought up the point where if somebody has been here for 20 years, they have a very different perspective than if they just came here from another district. And the climate of public education right now is hard. And there's a lot of external factors that make staff feel not very valued and criticized and all these other type of things. And so we don't push that away to say that we disregard, we want, first of all, we do think we have great places to come in and work. But we're always looking to have them be better, and maybe we need to do more to overcome some external type of push on that, which is why we do have this as goals too.
The one thing that I don't think that we did talk about in our groups, and I don't think it's just a Westlake problem. I would venture to say that it's probably nationwide, and you would probably know, is that we are losing young teachers after 2 or 3 years. They're just leaving the profession. So it isn't that they're going to another district. They're just done with teaching. And I don't know if we're making them jump through hoops. I don't think we are. We have to be careful that we don't do that. But I think there's just so much that we're requiring of teachers that they don't want to stick around.
So it's figuring out like what needs to be done, and then also supporting them. Like, what can you control? You can't control hepatitis B training, which you okay. So how many times? I mean, it's every year.
Yeah.
So and
More pathogens.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And anyways, but what can you control? And that's really what we tried to get at with these objectives is what can you control? So and when working with the leadership team and like that wellness, what does that look like? Is that's mental wellness, that's physical wellness, that's spiritual wellness, whether it's meditation, finding that core of who they are and supporting them too, because they're people that went into teaching, and this is another bias, by the way. They went in it not because of their summers. They went into it. I've talked to a lot of teachers over my years, and especially this year too. 99.9% went in because they wanted to make a positive impact on the life of a child. They knew the salary. They knew what they were getting, somewhat like the framework of it. But these are people that are giving their heart and soul. And the administrators too. It's not just your teachers and your secretaries and your custodians it is your administrators too. So what can you do? How can you continue to enhance the culture that you already have? A lot of times in some of the trainings that I've done, like a fish doesn't necessarily see water because that's all they know is the water, and that's, you know, you have such good things going on here. I was encouraged that many teachers, and it was a mention probably several times in the focus groups and in the surveys about expanding their leadership capability, which I interpreted it as empowerment. Let me help, let empower me so I can help lead and do something positive. So I think whether it's for wellness or professional development or some kind of more looking at how you recognize your teachers and your staff and your administrators, like what can you do? How do you build that up? And you have a strong foundation. These are tweaks. This is not like earth shattering stuff, you guys, because it's just fine tuning and continuing to deepen what you already have. So I wanted to say that, and your staff was lovely to talk to. Lovely.
The leadership that you bring up, I don't know if you have any data or just experiencing in the room, did you find that desire for leadership from newer, more veteran, or not?
Specifically when I talked to the intermediate and middle school teachers, it was a combination. There was a teacher that had been there. I think she shared, I don't know her name. I mean, because I really don't want to, but I know they were middle school. And she said, I don't know if the way we learn, like, I don't know if in our classes in college and I don't know if it's going to meet the needs of kids in like 5 years, because kids are different. Their brains think differently. And so, but then there were some newer to the career teachers in that focus group, and they were like, they agreed. So it was more of like it becomes a cadre.
Okay.
And you know, that it's a person that gets up first, and then you have that first follower there.
Okay.
And but it was positive. It was really a positive discussion at the high school too. Really,
Sometimes it's
elementary.
harder for your newer teachers
Yeah,
because they feel like they don't want to overstep. Sure. You know, but it's nice that they actually show that. And
So our next goal is focused on any other communication about staff. I mean, any other questions about staff?
you gotta go to the next slide, Tom.
I know.
Where's that red car? I gotta even in it.
Wow.
I would add, this is what I was trying to say, especially
Oh, yeah.
compared to point 2 for point 3, safety needs to be included in here with the staff.
Okay.
That they feel safe in the building, and that's not in there, and that's what I was trying to.
Okay.
Whether we include staff with point 2 or somehow work safety in here.
Yeah.
And you're saying that the staff need to
Feel safe in the building.
I
think
they
just
do.
wanted to make
Yeah.
sure I understood.
Yeah. And the survey and their focus group said that they do.
I do think they do feel it, but I do think it's important that we also
Because it's
state
never
that.
done.
Yeah.
You're right. It's never done. Like I said, safety's never done. Okay. We'll work that into an objective. Okay, goal 4 is strengthen communication and community engagement. So build strong relationships and trust with families, staff, and community through clear communication and meaningful opportunities for improvement and support. So I think this is one of the most challenging goals for any school district, really any organization. I'm also working with county park systems, a fire department, architect firm, right now with strategic planning, and that how to communicate and how to get your message across is something that can be challenging. And especially since you have a new tool of Parent Square, and I will say Parent Square has their research and development and how they keep refining is amazing. And it's a lot to learn. So really improving the clarity and consistency of the communication. One of the things that the parents and community members that are attached, it's mostly the parents that were at the one focus group, how much they get a lot of notifications. And so when we met as a team, we even talked a little bit about that. Like how many what's being pushed out at the building level, at different building levels. There was a mom there that I think she had 6 children in every school, by the way. So, she had everybody. So she represented your district well. And she just said, I get so many notifications. I can't like what's important. So that was something that in 4-1, is there a way to differentiate like that when it's a snow day or a calamity day or something major happens that she's not talking about that, but like like just even to organize and wade through that. And so to learn more about Parent Square and use those and be able to use those tools also. So that's really, again, and then 4.2, clear accessible information about district finances, decisions and priorities. So just even, talking about, you know, I know you were all aware of the budget bill, the biennium budget and the impact, but that could be any, I know. I know. So that biennium budget bill that came up, but it's not even that, it's the legislation that's still, lurking out there that is,
Trying to destroy public schools. basically.
yeah, that's.
But our morale should be up,
Yeah, so.
right?
Yeah, property taxes are gonna go down.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, and how does that impact your finances? And it could be just even from 2 years ago now, the reevaluation of your property taxes, that hit everybody really hard, so making sure that your website's robust, and I know that the board updates are part of of standard operating procedures, but really helping to, helping communicate what the financial aspect and the different things that go on in a school district. Can you continue to expand opportunities for families and community members and local organizations? So that's connecting with your Rotaries, that's connecting with your foundation, that's connecting with other foundations that are in Ohio. I know we talked about, I think I'm part of the Martha Holden Jennings Foundation. The past 23 years, I've read grants for them. So I know Westlake has had several grants over the years. I think there might be one coming up also, but looking at those partnerships to maybe fund some of the stuff that you want to try. And then looking at public-private projects too. And then there's a lot of research that we've been doing, especially at the Impact Group, really delving into the art of storytelling. So if you, and getting your message across. And so using those stories, we talked about, people brought it up today, like the green sleeves, the demonettes, the debonair, like there's history here that has to be part of that communication in that story because it attaches to your emotions and it connects you to your district. So, and you do that, but how can you even expand upon it in a student voice or in empower a teacher or a secretary? So different ways to be able to do that. And then that does impact your morale and everything too. Yes.
I love that thought. I think about, as an example, I don't know if you have an opinion about, behind the W and how that, was really, I think, a softer approach in addressing the community.
Yeah.
I think of the ways that the Hall of Fame every year, it's not just giving an old timer, hey, thanks for all you've done, but you have a student from today introducing them to that crowd kind of thing. So starting to tell it, but I love that concept. No one's ever explained it to me that way. And now that you say it, it's like, telling the, behind the W, these students that are, presenting, it's really touching people.
Yeah, and I still, one of the features in Behind the W this year, I know that you had was the background of the demons, the Westlake demons. The demon, you know what I mean? Like, someone might wonder why you're called the demon.
Right.
Stop that, sure.
We did the history. No, we did, it's funny, then we would do the history of the Rose Arch, we just did.
Right.
And so it's funny, and I just wrote down an idea because we're changing our timeline to where we will put Behind the W out in August is what we're targeting to do. And I think maybe a good topic for historical would be debonair or demonette. What's the difference?
Okay.
Kind of like, and be able to give have some old pictures of past, just a thought.
Right.
Yeah.
You're telling the story.
Yeah, so
I think of the high school students that came to Rotary. About the internship program.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a difference. Think about we still have Sunday dinners. I'm Italian, and so we still tell the Aunt Angie stories and the Granny Mae stories. And they're gone. They've been gone for 25 years too, but that's part of that legacy that ties it together because they connect to something. It might connect to doing a band story, doing something about the theater or athletics. It doesn't really matter, but somebody's going to connect to that story. And especially because you're a school and it's about kids.
Right.
And I
So-
think especially wearing one of my other hats that many things that I deal with is rather than just, and it's great having those snapshots of this kid won this award or this team did this or whatever, but then being able to have that little bit of a story behind it because
Exactly.
it's not just that celebration of that. There's definitely a story. I'm not saying it needs to be a 4-hour
I
long
know.
documentary.
No.
Ken Burns style,
Yeah.
it like kind of get to the point real quickly of being able to say that. But the one thing I was wondering is for 4-2 also is it worth adding or bulleting out or hauling out the need for advocacy, legislative, somehow wordsmithing in just because fundamentally the continuous attack on public school education isn't going to stop anytime in the near future. And I don't want to necessarily narrow it down to state versus federal or anything along that, but I do think there is some sort of advocacy and legislation in communicating to our community stakeholders why we do need them to be
For public education.
for public.
Yeah, for
education.
public, yes, because there was a few questions. What is the biggest concern? School funding, which is part of the advocacy too, was the top in the surveys. So that it ties directly back to what we heard too. So I will
Thank you.
I'll work on that too.
Okay.
Okay. No, thank
Sorry,
you.
I'm not trying to like nitpick.
No, you should.
No,
This is what this is for, really. I mean, you guys haven't voted on this. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
official. This is all draft.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
That's the point of, this is the
Yeah.
work session
Yeah.
part.
This
of
is
it.
great.
That. But
Oh, no.
Doreen, did you talk about 4-4 yet? Or did you?
I just
you
talked
did-
about
you talked about that?
the
So
story.
that's something that, one of the things that we want to see an improvement in, and it's one of the reasons we went to Parent Square,
Mhm.
was that we wanted the opportunity to share more of those stories. But I don't think we're there yet. I mean, I don't think we've done a good enough job with that yet to where we still have improvement to do. And it was great to hear from parents saying, we want to hear about our kids.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, that was part of the conversation in hiring when we were talking about the new athletic director. And when we were looking at what he did in his previous district, and we're like, wow, he can pick that up and really focus on this wing of the story. And then we can, get the other elements of the story from other areas. So it's taking we think we have the right platform in Parent Square. But we don't think we're experts at Parent Square yet. But we knew it would be a mechanism where we can share out more of those stories, but we don't want to share out too many of those stories. So the
Yeah.
person with 6 kids across the district has their, notifications blowing up all day long. So it is trying to find that balance in how you push it out, what are going to go out as notifications, what are going to be posts. So just kind of being able to find that balance. But we love hearing where, even when someone is, I wouldn't say criticizing, but giving you feedback and saying, we want to hear more about our kids. That's great.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to hear.
I am also gonna make the comment that I'm also hearing from parents a little bit more timely where you see, and I'm gonna use this as an example. When the national merit finalists are announced,
Mhm.
you see a number of other districts put out there, here's how many finalists. It takes us like another week or two before it happens. That needs to be out there the same day because I know we know that information, we just can't release it. But some of it, and people are like, well, I know we've got finalists, like, why isn't it out there? The other one I was gonna ask is, because I know we tend to utilize certain platforms. But I know the entire social media and Parent Square is great, but especially involving the community, there's where are you seeing people engaging platform wise? Do we need to expand and look at things like Blue Sky and Mastodon?
Yeah, it's still Facebook for the more older parents. And then Instagram for a lot of the younger parents. And you have both that we can get data on, you can get data on for those analytics but we're still seeing a lot on Insta and Facebook too.
Okay.
What do you think when
And,
you hear
and
that?
somewhat
Is that what
X,
you're thinking
X
of?
starting to dwindle, I will say that.
You said X is
X,
starting.
Twitter is pretty much dropped off.
Yeah, I
Nobody's
mean,
really-
well, X, Twitter, yes,
Yeah.
is, we're seeing this decline. Instagram is
is it?
still pretty up there though. And Facebook for, like I said, parents that are more, better.
Fundamentally, I'm hearing parents, basically, they jump on Twitter, they log in, they get what they need and they get off and they don't look for anything else. So like pull up like the athletic boosters
Right.
or athletics or the high school or whatever, and then they get off and they're not looking for anything else. And that's where I'm wondering if we need to move some of those things to some of the other platforms or post in both places.
Now, I know with Parent Square, we can connect a post to other social media. I know you can do it to Twitter X, but I have to look at it to see if you can
Yes.
do it to Instagram,
Yeah,
Facebook.
if not, it'll probably, they are so good in their, just because before I left just before I retired, we were looking at, should we adopt Parent Square? Like, before I left and we just didn't, we weren't ready yet. But I know that a lot of districts are switching over to Parent Square this year. And one of the things that I know that we're looking at and helping other districts, impact group is there a way for teaching parents how to subscribe to different things? I think I talked to you, but is what kind of user-centric control do they have over Parent Square? And then how do you teach parents how to use that
Right.
user-centric
Right.
controlling? Do they have to have every single notification? So they're, those are it's really understand, that's really the first and second one is really understanding the behind the scenes of Parent Square too.
And some
And
things you do
R&D.
want out for everybody.
Oh,
And I'll
yeah.
be the first to say that you want that for the community, for the media, for
Absolutely.
everybody else, and other things you just want for in the family. Just because of knowing what my husband does in technology, in tech world, I can do some digging on some linking, because I know Twitter decommissioned some linking through with
They did.
certain things.
You
So
now put it in the bio. You can't directly put, there's some things.
there were things where you were able to cross post automatically and Twitter shut a whole bunch of that stuff down. So I will find out a few things on Instagram and Parent Square and
our communication, I'm not the communications expert in our company, but there's a team that we can look at too.
we could talk.
Yeah. We
This
can
is
talk.
awful.
And just to clarify a comment that Scott had, it was, said parents want to hear about our kids.
Yes.
Accolades, activities.
I would say little things and I'll stick with athletics for a second because it's fresh in mind. Going through the interview with Colin and I have Paul and Amanda who were in that interview too. Colin did things simple, doesn't have to be extravagant to where he would just post happy birthday to athletes' birthdays. It's John Finucane's birthday. He's a baseball player. Happy birthday, John, type of thing. And but they would do recognitions where they saw a kid do something in the hallway and it didn't have to be on the field or something. It just little, it doesn't have to be like you were saying, Ken Burns documentary, but just kind of acknowledgement that my kid's here and is a positive part of the school district. So I think we could do more of that and recognize, like have a post, about our, we could have done something on each of the kids doing the internship since there weren't a lot of it. Right. Here's this particular student working at Case Western University and just have a little bio type of thing. So I think there's so much more we can do.
What about positive things for the staff?
Right.
You can do that too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Could I share a story with you just real quickly? Okay, I register at a food bank monthly and Katie Cerzioni, who is one of our high school Spanish teachers, who is a Westlake graduate. Was volunteering and she was handing out the meat with her dad. They were together. So I register and we do have a lot of language barrier, okay? And one of our interpreters didn't show up and the other one was involved. Because we do have a teacher from St. Ignatius that'll come down, but we only had one. And my phone, I used the Google Translate. It wasn't working real well. And I said, somebody go grab Katie down at the meat line and have her come up because she's our Spanish teacher at Westlake High School and she can help. And oh my goodness, she was amazing. And she just glowed and beamed that she was able to help.
Sure.
And I was so proud of her because there she is. And if you know who I mean,
Oh, yeah.
small little
Yeah,
petite,
right.
and she is speaking Spanish with the best of them. And she was so helpful and I was just so very proud of her in that instance. So, I mean, I'm sure we have a lot of.
That's a great
Yeah.
start. Nice.
There's a lot of different strategies for there, and you have a lot of great stories to tell too. So a lot of content. Goal 5 is about facilities and then the financial stewardship. Provide safe and well-maintained learning environments that proactively support evolving student, staff, and program needs, and ensure school facilities reflect the community's pride and vision of a future-focused educational experience. So not just what you have, but what addressing those evolving needs. 5.1 is something that several districts, especially because for a variety of reasons, but really wanted to make sure that the words capital improvement were put into their strategic plan because of the way some of the legislation is coming out. So it is it's something you do anyways. You have forecasting, you know, when your boilers are, you know, your roofs, you know, your parking lots. That's you have capital planning, but now you have something that is in your document that calls what you already do capital planning and ties into. It's not foolproofing against any legislation, but it actually is very specific that you do have a 5-year capital plan. You have it. I mean, it's can be you guys know what it is, but it's just making sure that it's more formalized now. So it gives some cover.
The other thing I would add is that we should also make sure that, and does not need to be added as a line item, we need to post it on the website, the 5-year capital plan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know we've got something,
Yeah.
but we need to get that.
And you can almost do a report, like especially all the work that your maintenance and custodians do. We want to talk about elevating staff. Like, oh my gosh, look at our beautiful buildings, ready for students, ready for staff. And they work really hard.
Yes.
There's a,
Would you include something like that in the treasurer's
Yeah.
area?
yeah, you could.
Either treasurer or Adam's area.
Dr. God.
Probably Adam.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could find.
Yeah, there's several spaces for that though, because there's a few capital lines. Anyways, enhance safety and emergency preparedness by improving building security and which ties to capital planning too, and addressing evolving threats and strengthening emergency preparedness with regular staff and student practices. So making sure whether different districts address it different ways. You have the barricade. Do you have a barricade system?
We have
The bar.
no, we called the
Bolo sticks.
Bolo sticks, okay, the bolo sticks. Again, just the things that emerge and things that you learn about that you're flexible enough that you can purchase it. And then align facilities with instructional needs. And again, this goes back to the student learning goal, relates to the student learning goal. So if you want students to be able to have experiments or have more like performances or within the classroom, like readers theaters or things like that, do you have the right tables? Do you have the right seating? All of that goes with that. So it ties into the financial stewardship, and that means you're planning for it. So that's really the highlight. I know one of the things, and then again, the last page there, 2 more pages. So we have lifelong learner, again, bookends of really the strategic plan is, the mission and vision, and then the characteristics of the lifelong learner, and it applies, and hopefully it comes through. And then I just wanted to point out and just, the thank you, really about the engagement. People took time to give their thoughts, and it is much appreciated because it really reflects what the district does. as a side note, we talked when we were doing this, when we were doing the proposal for strategic plan, is how do we engage our non-public school parents? So we did add to the survey, and we talked about it when we did the surveys, Dr. Goggin. We had about, we had about, oh my gosh, it's right here. We had about 58 parents respond, between 50 and 60 parents respond. They didn't respond to every question. More elementary, about 47% elementary parents, and then it was about 30% around there for middle school and high school. There's some preschool parents in there too. And asking them about, was academic offerings important? Was science Olympiad important? And there was one of the responses was, not enough information to even respond. That was a key in many of the questions. So how do you engage your, oh my gosh, is it St. Rafe's? No, St. Bernadette's. St. Bernadette's. I'm on the wrong side of town. St. Rafe's is over there. Okay. How do you engage? And I don't know if they all go to St. Bernadette's, but how do you?
St. Paul's.
Yeah, how do you, I know the Lutheran church, right? Lutheran school.
Right.
How do you engage and let people know? And so is it through storytelling? Does Behind the W go to every citizen, every resident? And it does.
It does go to every citizen? Oh,
Yeah, so how?
Every home.
Every home.
every home,
Every home.
every address.
So those are the kinds of things. Most of it was because they just don't know.
Right.
Their academics are important. And then did that make, I don't know, did it make an impact on your decision? I don't know. So it's in the very end, Dr. Goggin, but I can pull those, I can make sure.
And did they respond to specific questions? Did they ever have an opportunity to give non-specific, say, written answers to things? I guess my point is, did they bring up religion in their comments?
So it was one of the questions, what specific? We did not ask, I thought we asked religion.
You did.
We did. What
There
question?
was, what was the
Yeah, okay.
reason and,
Sure. It was the demon.
So we had size, yeah.
Don't you mean the?
Okay. Well, I wish we would have done this question. Did your own educational experience influence your decision for your children to attend a private school? Yes, I attended a private school. No, my decision was not influenced. I wish we would have had something more specific about like religion, or I thought we did.
There is one in there that specifically states, and can you tell me what the bottom might help me? I know.
It's gonna be in the parent community survey.
Yeah, that's right.
Questions 50.
Oh.
Something.
Okay.
50, I'm looking at 52.
That was.
Athletic offerings. I'm sorry, I'm not more prepared for this one. Safety. We implied it. I think we took out the. So, but we didn't, but I was happy that many people responded, actually. That's a pretty decent response.
I think so.
And it shows that we care, you care.
Was there any big takeaways for why they switched or why they picked this school they did? No.
Yeah, so some of the questions.
Yeah.
Like, how important was the size of the school
Mhm.
in your decision-making process? You had about 47% say it was either extremely important or important, and then 47%, not
Yeah.
important or somewhat. How important were the academic offerings? This is, and I think this is when one of the questions where you said the biggest takeaway. I highlighted this when we were talking about when we were going through the survey. And the question was, how important were the academic offerings in your choice of a private school? Now, on one end, you had 36, nearly 37% say it was extremely important, but then on the other end, you had 35% say they don't have enough information.
Mhm.
So that's when we talked about communication to where, how can we give that? How can we provide that to families.
Yeah.
So that maybe they can get a little more of that information. And we saw the same thing.
Yeah.
How important was the variety of offerings, AP, CCP? It's like you had 36% that said extremely important, and then 34% saying I don't have enough info. Right?
And some could correlate to the element, because you have the most responding from elementary and preschool, really. And they might not know, but is there an opportunity to communicate what you do offer here at an earlier age too? You know, because they might, I don't
Sure.
have enough information because
Like when they're in
my oldest
kindergarten,
is in
first
first
grade.
grade or in kindergarten. I don't know, you know,
Just
so,
send out the surveys.
pardon me?
How did you send out the surveys?
It was a link and then on social media and then I think Dr. Goggin, did you reach out to the Lutheran church or the Lutheran school?
I did not.
That they, so it was in there. I mean,
Okay.
so with a very, this, you had over 400, including that, including the non-pubs, the non-public school. Sorry, I'm going back to my school vernacular, non-public students who are attend non-public, which I have nothing to speak.
One other one that surprised me was 55 when it's like, how important were athletics?
Yeah.
In your choice. And 30% said important, 12% extremely important. But you had almost the same amount saying not really important at all. And
I think that develops more for eighth grade because we lose a lot of the eighth.
But that's
graders
true.
in at the-
That's true.
Of the high school.
But I think it feeds back into talk about strategy in a strategic plan. We use the impact group for communication and they help build that side of us as well. And Doreen's not in that house of the impact group. She's really in strategic planning and some other type of things. We use Sarah Lambert and some others to do that. But the nice thing is on August 1st, we're going to sit down and have Doreen, Sarah, our team, and be able to say, all right, here's in the communication part, here's what Doreen is finding and what you heard from our focus groups. Sarah and the communication team, how can we roll out this to the community and also begin to engage in parts of our plan? We're even, Colin doesn't know it yet, but he's getting invited on August 1st to this meeting as well. But how can we bring all those things together so that we are able to try and leverage having this work done by this arm of the impact group that then impacts the other arm that supports our community.
And Sarah's had, I mean, we've met several times, even before this meeting. I was making sure she was kept informed of like what we were looking at, and she had the themes, and she had the objectives, she had the executive summary, so. Great,
Bringing back to the lifelong learner.
yes.
Absolutely love this, but I wish this was a little bit more communicated out.
Okay.
And even in our buildings, I mean, and it sounds ridiculous even, but like, do we need to get a banner of it and put it in this room?
That's exactly.
Or-
Right.
Yeah, or put it in the other,
Every
in every building, like,
side wall.
yeah.
mural.
Cause I think it's so beneficial as to what has driven so often, and whenever there's sort of a question about something, this has always been what I've gone back to.
And the story behind that is that when we developed this, the other schools were calling it portrait of graduate,
Correct.
and we did not like that.
Right,
So we changed it to lifelong learners, so.
Yep. because the preschooler,
Right.
3-year-old.
That was our thing is,
Is
that was
a-
the exact conversation.
And-
We
yeah,
were saying,
and-
how are they gonna feel a connection to this?
And your staff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, because as graduate, is it just focused on high school? So.
Anyone-
Thank you for all this time.
Oh my gosh, thank you, and I will take that feedback and get it to Dr. Goggin and. So thank you, and I have to say, it really was a privilege to work with your school. I was very welcomed into every setting. I felt like I was, at one point, I felt like I was part of the staff, so it was just, it was lovely, and that starts really from the top. And then including the Board of Education, so there's a spirit here and an expectation to be kind and and welcoming. It's just part of who you are. So thank you for the
Thank
opportunity.
you. Thanks, Brian. Gonna move on to board committee reports. Anything on the legislative side?
The House is coming back to vote next week on three of the line item vetoes. While they are not very favorable for public school education, they would have an impact. So I have reached out to Rose Sweeney on that.
Do we know if Senate's gonna reconvene to take that up
It would have, doesn't it have to go through the House
first?
first and then it goes to the Senate, if I remember, if it's just the House.
But
Yeah.
it needs to go through both houses.
Yeah.
I always hope it's a nice, long, drawn out process and they just forget about it
Well, I think
in the Senate.
they'll come back to it in the fall, even if
No matter
they're
what,
not
this-
gonna give up on this,
yeah, no matter what, this is not gonna go away and
Right.
we're gonna be continuing to have these,
right?
which is why the comments about legislative advocacy.
Right.
That's okay.
Anything on House Bill 314 limiting public records requests? Any thoughts on that? I don't know if that affects us
That
that
doesn't.
much. I know sometimes it seemed like it did, but
I actually was just hearing a story on that on NPR. It's just mostly going after the or for the prosecutor's office.
I don't know if it would affect all or no.
It would not be affecting, from what I was hearing on NPR, they were saying it's more county prosecutors. It's individuals who are filing requests.
Yeah.
Where particularly they're getting a lot of nuisance requests where it's not like journalists or organizations.
Yeah.
So.
Do you feel you've ever gotten a nuisance request?
That's a very loaded question. But you know, we comply with the law, I'll put it that way.
Thank you.
But I'm not aware of it having an effect on us.
Thank you. Thank you. Student achievement?
They're all home for summer vacation.
Yeah.
Having a great time, right?
Superintendent committee reports?
I'm sure we'll have policy updates coming soon. Those seem drafted, I am sure.
Thank you. And treasurer committee reports. I know our treasurer has scheduled our finance meeting prior to our next meeting. We're meeting at 4 o'clock on the 28th.
Correct.
And are we meeting in your office, Dr. Goggins' office?
Yeah, either one.
Okay,
We'll set it, if we have visual aids, we usually use Dr. Gag's
Sure,
for the
sure.
presentation, but
okay.
I'll let you know.
Anyone have any specific thoughts they want us to share at that meeting? All right, super. Board comments.
In our monthly report, will we get an update on AP test scores? Oh, okay, overall.
Paul and I just talked about that this morning.
The other one is, because of some conversations I've been having about other things, outside of the school district. And I know in the past we've talked about this. Do we have Narcan in the buildings?
On the police officers, we were talking about possibly doing some over the counter they have over the counter Narcan as well, and we were talking about doing something like that in the clinics. But right now, the Narcan is specific to
SROs?
on the section of the SRO.
I would really encourage us to get it in every building in the clinic. And sort of like we had those EpiPen containers in the buildings. I'm hearing a lot of issues and it's not someone is taking an illegal drug and they're overdosing necessarily. It's just sometimes it's somebody doubles up on their medication out of confusion. I'm also even hearing even down to fourth graders they're having to utilize Narcan.
The concern that I have at times, even with the EpiPens, one of the things it's there's a reason why police and EMTs and some of these people are so special is because there are us lay people that sometimes even with the knowledge, when the situation presents itself, they're still nervous to pop open the EpiPen thing, grab it and stick it in someone because even though they've been trained, they feel like they don't know enough. So are you going to have your layperson say, oh, let me go grab that Narcan, snatch that and do the.
Narcan's a nose spray.
Is it nose?
It
Okay,
is
I've
nose
never-
spray.
I don't know much about it, but.
You'd be amazed how many are having conversations to the extent, and I don't know. Knowing you have a daughter that's about to go off to college, but this is something that these kids talk about. And I mean, a lot of parents I know are sending their kids to college with Narcan to just have it
Wow.
for their own, for whatever reason, if you need it, it's there.
Cause that was we did have a situation at the high school. Where there was a person having an allergic reaction. And the things right there on the wall and, the nurse actually did it and the secretaries didn't. And I think it's something again that, I mean, we could do it, we can look into that, that's fine, but I don't want to give the expectation out there that,
Correct. It's more this way that it's available. And the other part I would say is if there's training that needs to happen, I am sure we can easily connect to make sure staff knows how to use it, what to look for, all those things.
I'm sure.
But the other part I will say is with an EpiPen or a Narcan, if you administer it, it's not going to have like long-term effects. It's more, it will stop the situation that's going on and give EMT time to get there.
Is this something you could discuss with the police department?
You know what, how about safety committee? We have our safety committee meetings open and we can start those conversations there because we have the policy in place. That's something that we did establish when the Narcan first started coming out. We did put ourselves in the position to utilize it if we wanted to through board policy. And so that door is open for us. And this may be a good safety committee and kind of hear some feedback from law enforcement. They may be right on it and say, yeah, that we think it's a great idea. It shouldn't just be on us because I could be out to lunch or, this sort of thing. So yeah, I'm not opposed to the conversation.
No, but I think there should be a little bit of research
Sure.
before we jump right in.
Sure.
We've not been a board that's acted quickly and jumped
Yeah.
in on things, so a little bit of research, but.
Okay.
Parents sending students off to college thinking you go to a party, someone laces something with something.
You never know. You never know is what it amounts to.
Okay.
That's the first I'm hearing of college students all going on.
And you can also easily get it for free, by the way. Narcan. We're through the state of Ohio even, they'll send you it. So it's like you send your kids with Band-Aids, you send your kids with, cold and flu medicine, you also send them with Narcan it's one of those you'd rather be safe than sorry, right?
Any other board comments? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
To adjourn at 7:36 PM. Lizinski,
Yes.
Fanukin,
Yes.
Kraft.
Yes.
Lamb,
Yes.
here not.
Yes.
Motion carries.
You are adjourned.